Welcome back, everyone, to a new installment for 2022 Screenplay Rewind. I'm Jeff.
I'm Ron, and this has been for fucking ever.
It's about to say it's we were just doing the quick maths, the arithmetic chickens in the in the green room,
I'm the distractor.
and it's been almost a month. Do you still remember? I mean, not that we ever knew how to record in the first place, but do you feel like you've lost a step?
It took me a while to get my shit set up on my computer. So, yeah, I imagine this is going to be rough. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
see how many Audacity keyboard shortcuts I remember.
the podcast just dies. Let's see, Alt F4. That's one of my keybinds, right? So, what are we opening up the year with, Ron? Because this was your selection.
Goddamn right it was. I picked the Mitchells versus the Machines. Because fuck
Damn
yes,
right
I
you did. Yeah. Also, we pointed out how after we had done questions for like one or two episodes out of the 5,000 episodes we've done, that it was weird to open up the show without questions, and we don't have questions right now. So,
yeah.
Oh, I guess we're just here to like talk about movies and shit, isn't that?
That's been a
weird?
while. That's been a while since we just did that on the podcast.
True.
You know,
I think
the
I think
podcast
Lord of
where
the
we
Rings,
sit and talk about movies and shit.
I think the Lord of the Rings episodes were just completely off the rails to the point I don't even remember recording them.
I don't remember a goddamn thing we said.
I think we talked about some wizards and shit.
There may have been a ring mentioned.
I think Gandalf belongs to the canyon now. Oh,
What about
God.
Prancer?
That's
Prancer belongs
just-
to the canyon now.
It's such a quick one-off joke in this movie that is forever in my repertoire, dude. It's so good.
I think the first time you watched this was at my house, and I want to say that was the joke you laughed the hardest at. Because it comes out of nowhere.
It's such an unexpected cutaway to that sequence and then away from it with that. And I think that's like the last thing you hear before they cut away. This is so good.
Yeah, they hard cut to
There's a lot of Family Guy energy to this movie.
There really is, yeah.
The cutaways and stuff.
Even a little bit to some of the character designs as well.
Yeah.
Like Rick Mitchell looks like he would be right at home in Family Guy.
Well, he, to me, screamed. I think we talked about it when we watched it at your place, but his design screams John Goodman from Roseanne to me so much.
I can see it.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I can see it.
So yeah, what made you decide to select this other than it's a great fucking movie?
It's just a fun movie. I felt like we needed to talk about it, and I think it's been a little bit since I've picked something animated. I've actually got a few animated stuff in my list coming up that I want to cover.
There you
go. Not February though. I know my February pick. It's not animated.
It's just funny that like your go-to, it's like, here's a family adventure animated movie. What is Jeff's selection? This is a really fucked up independent horror movie. Or The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Oh my God.
I was just talking with you the other day about how I think it's funny how we've gotten to the point to where when I was thinking about what my next selection is going to be, I had to scroll back through the episodes to make sure we hadn't covered it, because I have now lost all memory of what we've covered in this fucking podcast.
Especially after a month off.
Yeah, especially.
Like,
I remember the earlier episodes we did, and then it's just like a big blur.
Yeah. I remember a few legendary ones like The Thing and Alien were our first two, and probably two of my favorite episodes that we've done. I remember
watching Dragon Ball Evolution.
Do you? I figured you had that scrubbed clean from your brain.
Oh no! When I watched that, I was basically being Clockwork Oranged into his fucking chair. So it's never leaving.
I want to watch it again. It's so good because it's so bad.
That is something we need to record a commentary. What was there something else you want to record a commentary on? Was it?
I don't know. I think
it was Descent 2. Descent 2. We wanted
yes.
to do like a bullshit commentary. And then the extended editions of Lord of the Rings in like a year we talked about.
Yeah.
As if anyone wants to listen to us for 12 hours.
I was going to say, no, those were more like 15 probably.
You want to spend an entire weekend listening to me and Ron talk about fucking nerd shit.
Could you imagine if we did that, then dropped all 3 commentaries on the same day?
Oh my god.
Everyone would unsubscribe from this podcast. And I wouldn't blame them.
No.
If I wanted people to leave, that's how I would do it.
I would be more suspicious to people who subscribe, not people who unsubscribe.
These people are crazy. They're my favorite. Subscribe.
It's like, don't you have like better shit you could be doing with your time? Oh god. I'm glad to see our self-depreciating humor has not gone away in the new year.
Oh,
you want to talk about this movie?
Yeah, let's talk about this movie because this movie. This movie's
a fucking
thing.
trip, dude. Also, this is one of those movies we could spoil every single joke for you and the entire plot, and I would still recommend you watch it immediately because it doesn't matter at all. Because you can't like properly convey just how fucking bonkers this movie is.
I've been trying to figure out how to even describe this movie.
It's so specifically like over the top. It's weird.
Yeah, you just have to see it more or less. And that's our show. Thanks for listening, everybody. No, it's really weird. It caught me off guard the first time I watched it because I had never seen, and I'll get in the rundown here in a second, but the directors and writers from this are from Gravity Falls, and it apparently has a lot of that same type of DNA to it, but I haven't seen Gravity Falls. I don't think you have either. I haven't either, no.
I was just looking into it because after watching this movie, like I'm all about checking it out, and I was assuming it was going to be one of those like Adventure Time type shows, you know, where there's 300 episodes and shit.
Yeah.
There's actually only 2 seasons of Gravity Falls, and there's only like 40 episodes in total, so that makes it a little bit more digestible, I think. It was like 2 seasons, 20-ish episodes each, and it's available in its entirety on Disney Plus or Hulu. So I might be watching it on like Disney Plus at some point just to check it out because I really like these guys. I think they have a lot of talent, especially when it comes to just how out there the animation is. It's just interesting visually at the very least. But
even the main characters and everything, it's a 3D like CG animation style, but even it is still a really interesting and kind of weird animation style to it, and it's got the way the use of color in this movie is incredible. Like, whoever decides what color to use when and where is really fucking good at their job.
It almost to me has like a bit of like a claymation type feel and look.
It really does.
Weird. But it's not stilted at all.
Yeah,
it's really weird.
What it reminds me of is in the early days of like 3D CG animation, when like every kid's cartoon, every kid's movie was coming out like this, everything kind of looked like what's the Eric Bana Hulk? The Incredible Hulk?
I think that one is just Hulk.
It's just Hulk? Okay.
Yeah.
You know how he always looked like he was like liquid? And like when things hit him, it rippled and everything?
God, that movie fucking sucks.
That's the way this type of animation used to look all the time. Everything looked like it had a real shiny sheen to it, and everything really looked just kind of wet and like bubbly. And this is the first time I've seen this style of animation used this well and this effectively. Yeah,
I love it. It caught me off guard at the first time I was watching it because of how, and they don't even like ease you into it. It's just instantly weird with the way that the animation is, with how they are almost like meta with the fact that it's a movie along with the animation. It's so specific you can't even like explain.
Yeah, it's almost distracting the first time you watch it because you don't know what to expect. But yeah, it's the other thing too I wanted to say before we really get going here about the animation style is the other thing that's weird is this type of animation style usually does not have this much detail to it. These characters are incredibly detailed. Their hair, their clothes, really facial expressions. And usually this type of animation style is just usually kind of bland. Like, I never really cared for this. You saw this a lot, like, I feel like in the aughts, right? Like the early 2000s. But the animation in this is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, I appreciate that they don't ease the viewer into it and they just kind of go for it, you know?
Yeah.
But the first time I watched it, it did take me back. And for like the first like 10 to 15 minutes, you know, you eventually get kind of acclimated to it and you're just along for the ride. But at first I was like because I never watched any of the trailers. I barely even knew what the movie was about until you recommended,
I knew
that we
about
watch
it
together.
from hearsay on different podcasts I listened to. Everyone was talking about it. That's the only experience I had with this movie. First time I watched it.
Yeah. It's almost better that way. You just kind of go in cold as much as you can.
Yeah. It dawns on me though now as I'm looking at this still on IMDb. It's almost like a hybrid between that style of animation I was talking about from like the early 2000s and like a Pixar style. It's like a hybrid of the two almost.
It's like a grittier Pixar.
Yeah.
It's weird, but it totally works for the movie, and it totally works for the tone they're going for. So let's get the rundown out of the way. Just real quickly, we will be going to full spoilers here shortly. I do think you should try to watch the movie, with as few jokes unspoiled as possible for you. But even if you knew everything that was going to happen, because of the animation and because of, I think, how good most of the characters are, I think it's still a great movie to check out regardless. So the co-directors are Michael Rianda and Jeff Rowe, who also co-write the film. They are not the creators of Gravity Falls, but they were from like the kind of story consulting and directing team from Gravity Falls. So a lot of that same DNA is here. They even have, as a little guest appearance voice, they actually have I'm assuming who they're buddies with, since he was a creator of Gravity Falls, but he actually voices one of the roommates of the main girl at college at the end of the movie. Kind of cool, little nod to him. But yeah, let's talk about the cast real quick. Who I think just about everyone is just fucking perfectly cast, but the voicing is so good.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Especially Pal.
Yes. So you have Abby Jacobson as Katie and Dog Cop. I love that she's officially credited as both on IMDb. And
is she really? Too. I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's really great. Danny McBride as Rick. Maya Rudolph as Linda. Michael Rianda, actually one of the co-writer/directors, is Aaron.
He's the Furbies?
Yeah, he's the Furbies, apparently.
Oh my god. Oh, and the talking dog. Hello, I am Dog.
Love it.
Wi-Fi enthusiast. Hold on. Is Wi-Fi enthusiast the watch what happens when I cut the Wi-Fi and it just runs the
I think so. I love that scene so much.
I want to be credited as Wi-Fi enthusiast in something. Oh my god.
I want to be credited as Furbies in something. Then you've arrived.
Let the dark harvest begin.
God, we'll talk about the fucking Furby Cthulhu cult that I love so much.
The pain only makes me stronger.
It's so good.
I'm sorry.
Eric Andre voices Mark. Olivia Colman is Pal. Fred Armisen is Deborah Bot 5000. Another name you would like to get credited as.
I didn't even know Fred Armisen was in this movie, and I've seen this movie like 5 times.
Me neither. Beck Bennett voices Eric and Pal. Let's see. Chrissy Teigen voices Haley Posey. John Legend voices Jim Posey. Conan O'Brien is Glaxon 5000. Did you know Conan was in this movie?
I knew Conan was in it, and I thought I may be thinking of something else. There's another movie where him and Jimmy Kimmel both have a cameo. But I guess this is not the one. I expected Jimmy Kimmel to be in this list.
Gotcha. And then, of course, the star of the show is Doug the Pug as Monchi.
Oh my god, Monchi. The fly when he's got his head out the window. He doesn't even blink and it goes down his throat.
You can tell how good the movie is if you just look up on like Tenor all of the gifs for this movie.
Oh my god.
If even like the gifs can make you laugh.
The Dream Team is my favorite one.
It's pretty great. I think all the Monchi stuff is still dog, pig, loaf of bread.
We can tell the difference between dog, pig, and loaf of bread.
Oh my god! And all the fucking Furby gifts are just chef's kiss all around. Name a better concept than Furb Thulu. I'll wait.
Do kids these days remember Furby? That was a '90s toy, right?
Oh no, that was purely a boomer joke right there.
That was
'cause
purely for the adults in the room, right?
I don't think Furbies even exist anymore, do
I don't think they do either. Well, they do in this world.
Oh yeah, they do. Oh my god. Let the Dork Harvest begin.
I will avenge my fallen children.
Behold the twilight of man.
All the Furby quotes. And it's not even English. It's like some Cthulhu language, and it's all subtitled.
Yeah, I think my favorite joke in the movie was Prancer belongs to the canyon now, but my favorite scene is the fucking Furby Cthulhu cult. Like when you have Lovecrafty and Furbies in your movie, I'm gonna love you. I'm sorry.
It's so good.
It's the best. It's the best.
You people listening may not know the bullshit that was the Furby. And do you remember people were like tasing each other in toy stores trying to get goddamn Furby? And then they did the same thing with Tickle Me Elmo. Remember that?
I was just about to say, like, the two I remember most is, people actually getting stabbed over Tickle Me Elmo.
Was Furby like the first like smart toy? Because like you could put them next to each other and they interact with each other and everything else.
I think so.
But yeah, it was
Maybe at least one of them.
It was everywhere, and people were literally like stabbing each other and tasing each other and pepper spraying each other. And I mean, Black Friday, sure, but even just you would hear about like a random mall shooting where one guy got to a Furby before another one, so he shot the dude. Like it was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
So now your kid gets a Furby, and that kid lost their dad. Good job.
And now all the Furbies are in a fucking landfill like the ET Atari cartridges or whatever.
They use them to bury the ET cartridges. The cult will protect the ET cartridges.
That's the movie. We need to make the post-apocalyptic movie where currency is just like
ET and Furby.
ET cartridges, Furbies. What's the other little like plushy pet collectible thing? You remember what I'm talking about? Beanie Babies. Beanie Babies. That's a collectible.
Pound
and, like,
Puppies.
Currency.
Pound Puppies was before Beanie Babies.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to make it happen. Make it happen.
Remember they tried to make that into a cartoon and it was awful.
Of course they did. Fucking dude, Rambo was a cartoon. Every fucking thing is.
Well, I was gonna say Care Bears, but Rambo, yes, Rambo was definitely a cartoon for some. Because when I think children, Jeff, I think of a PTSD soldier sawing people in half with a Gatling gun on the back of a Jeep.
Hey, if I'm like, waking up on a Saturday morning with my Fruit Loops, PTSD soldier just sounds pretty fucking badass to me.
We need to come up with a cartoon concept and try to sell it and see if, just to see if someone will buy it. That's just called PTSD Soldier, and it's a Saturday morning cartoon.
PTSD.
Figure out something else to make the PTSD stand for something else, but just see if anyone will buy it. I'd buy it.
This is yeah, me too. This has got to happen now. Do you want to quickly run down, since we've done the cast and crew and everything, you want to quickly run down just like a brief plot synopsis of what the movie is actually about?
So the movie starts out innocent enough with Katie Mitchell being excited to go to California to go to film school, and it's her last day at home, and her dad, she's got some family issues with her dad. Her and her dad don't really connect. So her dad canceled her plane tickets, and they have decided to go on a road trip to take her to school, which basically ends her life. I would also, to be fair, be very pissed off if my plane ticket like that was canceled for a fucking school. They said you could miss orientation, no problem.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. I mean, I love the dad. But it's pretty fucked up.
I just love when she's like, "Mom," and she's like, "Your dad kind of went rogue on this one." But
their car is like falling apart too.
And some strange strange green goo we can learn about together. Dude, when the camera zooms out and you just see the weird like hand-drawn like notebook drawing of Katie just
Yeah.
Anyways, while on this road trip, the robot apocalypse happens. And this dysfunctional family ends up being the last humans on Earth. Trying to defeat our new robot overlord, a cell phone, voiced by Olivia Colman.
Yeah, I didn't know when I first watched it that it was Olivia Colman, and then when I found out it was Olivia Colman, I was like, of course it was Olivia Colman.
The first
voicing
time
that
I ever
character.
watched this, I was like, I swear to God, I know that voice the entire time I was watching it. You and
She's
I,
like
if you
slightly
recall,
augmented.
if you recall, on our old podcast, you and I, she was our pick for Doctor Who.
Yep, and like the logic was all right. We just picked the wrong.
She was even in the same
character.
show.
Yeah. Like the whole thinking was he was gonna pick her because he worked with her in Broadchurch that also had David Tennant in it, and the logic was sound. We just picked the wrong person.
We just picked the wrong woman.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she is the Siri-like, like AI in the Apple Analog's cell phone, and I actually. The one issue that I do have with this movie is I think it's real heavy-handed with its messaging about like how technology is causing the downfall of human society. They're not wrong, but like WALL-E, which I fucking hate WALL-E, by the way.
You hate most animated movies. You hate like 90% of the animated movies that everyone loves.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I start out like with WALL-E specifically, but a lot of movies. Like, didn't really care for it. But then over time, all I hear about is WALL-E's the best movie ever. WALL-E is the greatest. Like, no movie is ever going to be better than WALL-E. And it's just like, after a while, it's like, fuck you and your WALL-E. Like, just get the fuck out.
Yeah, I could see that. That was me with Inside Out. I did not care for Inside Out. And then it was like everyone's like literally like #1 movie of the year. And it's like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't really like that movie.
I was ready to watch it with Christina, and then she watched it on her own, and she's like, "It's bad." And I was like, "Okay, well, here's the thing: nothing is ever good, and nothing is ever bad. Everything is just okay." You ask her what she thought of any movie, and it's always okay. And what I got from her was it's bad, and I was like, "I'm good then. I don't need to see it."
So I wasn't affected by. I wasn't affected by the messaging in this movie at all, or really in WALL-E. I was personally insulted by how much Inside Out beats you over the head with this message. So you would fucking loathe it. You would absolutely hate that movie.
Yeah, I think this movie, just like WALL-E, where my original point was going to say, I completely forgot I had even started down this track until you brought me back in. While I agree with the message of like, people spend too much time plugged in. I think it takes it to the point where the messaging is almost technology is bad. And I couldn't disagree more with that. So
I personally don't think they go that far with it, but I can kind of see it.
To me,
they're so flippant with the theme that it never crosses the line of becoming like preachy to me in this movie.
It's definitely like they even have one line that is completely like anti-Apple, anti-Google, anti-Facebook, anti-Twitter, anti-everything all in one line near the end of the movie. And I was like, bravo, you just said fuck all of these people in one line. But
yeah,
you know, it I don't know. I feel like it does push that message a little far with some of the jokes and some of the punchlines, some of the plot points. They're just, I feel like they just keep beating that nail a little deeper. But otherwise,
yeah.
I don't have an issue with this movie. Other than that, that's really my only drawback. But because I said,
I also
the core message, I do agree that we are all way too plugged in.
Well, the thing that makes me not think they're going too far with it is the angle they're taking as far as not that technology is bad, but the way these corporations are exploiting that aspect of humanity. I totally agree with, and I think that's
that was a bad idea. Yeah, not your best call.
I think that's the part that they're really driving home is not the technology is bad, it's the way that these corporations are exploiting people, and they totally are. You know, like they look at the fucking advertising algorithms. Like you fucking say a thing out loud in your apartment, and within a day you're getting advertisements. Yeah,
you bought, was it one of the Titan chairs or something to try out, and then sent it back? What was the computer chair
Oh,
that you bought?
Secret Lab. I think
Secret
it's
Lab.
the company. Yeah.
You bought a Secret Lab chair, didn't like it, send it back. I told my wife about that, just casual conversation, because I was looking for a new chair around the same time too.
Mm-hmm.
And I told my wife about that. And the next time that she opened the Facebook app and the Amazon app, it was trying to sell her Secret Lab chairs.
Yeah.
She's never searched for them. She's never typed that in. Never done any of that. I'm like, this is why people tell you to delete the apps and use the website if you're going to.
Yeah, it's scary. Like
There's no joke.
fucked up.
If you look up any tip on how to improve battery life on a phone, they tell you to delete the Facebook app because it's doing so much in the background with your microphone and everything.
Oh yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we're at Skynet at any point is just one day away. I, for one, look forward to our robo overlords because
Unless they're trying to shoot me into space. Okay.
Oh man.
Okay, speaking of evil corporations and their marketing, let's talk about Sony.
Okay.
Because this movie is Columbia Pictures, which is owned by Sony. And I want to say Katie's phone is that Sony Android phone. She has Sony headphones on at one point. The laptop that gets broken is a Sony Vaio. And all the spaceships look like PS5s to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if that one's intentional, but they look like PS5s to me.
I think they do that in basically all the Sony animated shit. It's just like
This is the most I've ever seen it. Like I've seen
I think they had a lot of it in Spider-Verse as well.
They did. They had the Sony headphones and I think a Sony Vaio and all that. They had a lot of that, but this movie it's just like every single it's like, you know how in the real world everything is Apple devices for the most part? But in this world it's Sony. Sony is the Apple of this world.
That's the most unrealistic thing about the movie, not the Robo-apocalypse. It's that Sony. Like, do you know anyone that owns a Sony Vaio laptop? I don't.
And that's why I give this movie 4 out of 5 stars.
You get knocked because of Sony.
There's only so far I can suspend my disbelief.
Yeah.
Anyways, movie.
movie. So clearly the Ron and Geoff of the movie, I think, are the Robo Pals.
I was gonna say the same thing.
They're so fucking dipshit.
Yum yum good. Yum yum good.
They're so funny. I love when they're.
I feel emotion. Mother, what's death? And then that slow zoom and everything goes dark behind them.
Yeah.
Let's put a pin in that one.
Also, I really appreciate this movie's complete dedication to how fast and quick like the jokes come. Like they don't give you a second to like you can miss a whole bunch of shit. They don't give you a second to even like be finished laughing at the previous joke before they rolled out something new or have something shown as far as the joke, with the animation. It's just fucking fast. Yeah, they don't fuck around.
There's an art style all to its own to the jokes in this movie because what you just said is accurate, but I have seen movies that try to do that the jokes just trip over themselves and it's just too much too quick, or like they're referencing something I forgot because there was a million jokes between that one and this one and I don't pick it up until later viewings or whatever. It couldn't be written more perfect with the timing on the jokes or the self-referential stuff it does or calling back to earlier jokes. Like it could not be more perfect with the timing. That is probably the most impressive thing with this movie, in my opinion, because while it's easy to overlook that is not easy to do. I don't even want to know how many rewrites of the script there had to be to get that tight like that. It is airtight with the joke telling.
Or even, just the amount of time they probably had to put in with the editing, even after it was already like all animated. I can just see them because you can tell by the way the jokes work, the types of jokes they write for it. They're perfectionists with the timing. So it must have been agonizing to do the comedic timing with some of these scenes. Like they probably, like the animators probably wanted to fucking die with it, because I could see them just being, no, the timing's not quite right. Even by like milliseconds, I can see them being that much of a perfectionist because it is so specific in their comedic timing, and I think it all works. I think it's great.
I feel like it's either they wanted to die because they're perfectionists and there's so much going on and trying to get the timing right, or this is the type of movie that I could see. Like, animators are crazy people. Like, they love what they do. That's why they do it. But most of the time, like when Frozen 2 was getting ready to come out, ABC Podcasts, owned by Disney, put out a making of Frozen 2 podcast. It was at the time an 8-part series. Now it's a 9-part because they had the post-COVID one. Because it turns out that the Lopez's that wrote all the music kind of predicted COVID and all the music they've been writing by accident.
Yikes.
And some of their music kind of became the unofficial themes of like what was going on in everybody's lives during COVID. So they put out another episode like a year or so later, going back and talking about what's going on in the world and how did they predict everything.
Yeah.
But they put out this thing talking about like how when they're talking to like the animation directors in one of the episodes about how you get into animation to have fun with it, but most of the time you're animating people doing people things. Right? It's kind of boring, but then there's Olaf who can rearrange his body and you can do all these crazy things with Olaf, and they love working with Olaf because they have liberty to do whatever they want with that character. And that is the way I can see this whole movie beginning to end. Because of the way they punctuate everything with the crazy like hand-drawn sketchbook animation and all that. I can just see artistic liberty all over the place for the animators here.
Yeah, and they even have a lot of meme influence. Like I was just going back through,
this movie could not be more YouTube from the late aughts, early 10s.
Yeah, like to the point of like, the dad
like
reminding
Nyan Cat. This whole movie is Nyan Cat.
Yeah, exactly. And then like I think back at the scene, like of the monkey screaming, and they have like the cuts back and forth with the dad, and it's just like stuff like that's constant. Like I think this movie would, like to your point earlier, I think this movie would work for kids just because of how over the top it is, and kids like flashy, interesting animation, but like I think the humor is purely
really
for adults, and it's for adults from like a certain time. It's like like people from our generation that would be able to recognize and like understand the references to like with
it's
the
like
memes.
It's like when you used to go watch a movie with your parents and the jokes you didn't get were aimed at your parents because it's like a joke from the 60s. Like, that is where we are now in our lives.
Exactly.
These jokes were totally aimed at those of us that grew up in the 90s. And, like, I remember YouTube coming online for the first time. Like, I remember, like, now, who was it? XQC or whatever that had that YouTube video that had, like, $1 million budget or something? But back in the day, this movie is what YouTube was. Those movies that Katie makes, that was YouTube. Like,
yeah,
all the crazy stuff, all the memes, the monkey screaming, that's all YouTube was. They nailed that perfectly. But the comedy, the writing on the comedy is interesting because, like you said, a lot of the straight up jokes are aimed at the adults in the room. They're going to go over the kids' heads. But what I learned watching this, because I've watched this movie so many times, because for those that don't know, I have 5-year-old twins. And that means I watch the same movie. I was going to say I watch a lot of movies. No, I watch a few movies over and over and over again a lot of times. And this is one of them because the physical comedy in this, that's not fair. I was going to say the physical comedy is straight up Looney Tunes, but that's not true. But the physical comedy in this is aimed at the children. The deep cut dialogue jokes are aimed at the adults in the room. And it's a really good mix because my kids laugh just as hard as I do watching this movie, and they don't understand anything these characters are saying about anything.
Yeah. And to their credit, too.
And they asked to watch this movie, by the way. Like,
nice. Yeah, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Because one thing I like about this is what I was going to say is with like the physical comedy, that part of it often, especially with Manchi, makes me laugh too because they're not like talking down to kids with their kind of physical comedy. It's not fart jokes. Yeah. It's just clever Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry-esque physical comedy, that isn't, gross out toilet humor. It's just good physical comedy.
Yeah.
There's like a classic Hanna-Barbera-esque type, flair to it that totally works for adults. And, it's one of those things that's kind of timeless. It works for 5-year-olds. It works for 50-year-olds because it's just, well-written characters. And another thing, too, one of my biggest problems with Inside Out that we talked about earlier is how, and you were talking about how like this movie's theme, it kind of comes to the point where it's kind of becoming kind of preachy almost.
Yeah.
One thing that keeps me from being too deterred by the theme is this movie uses its characters to convey its theme instead of using its theme to convey its characters like Inside Out does.
Mm-hmm.
And like Inside Out is just purely with very, very lazily written characters trying to sell you on them via their theme instead of, letting the characters kind of drive the story. And this movie totally, like, the characters really drive the story because of this family. And I don't usually get too invested in kind of coming of age type stories like this, but this totally works because you just love all the characters in the family so much.
So one of the questions I had for you coming into this podcast, I'm glad you said what you just said. What is this movie? Is it a road trip movie? Is it a coming of age movie? Is it
It's all the
a
thing.
family comedy? Is it end of the world? Is it sci-fi?
It's like simultaneously everything and nothing at the same time. It's really weird.
It's like trying to nail down Independence Day, dude. Like, what movie is this?
Yeah, it's fucking out there, but it never feels like out of place, and you never feel like lost watching it. It feels all over the place, but it's intentional. It's not, like the movie has no identity. It totally does. It's just kind of ballsy enough to be what it is. And I really appreciate that because I could kind of see why they were having, because this movie was actually originally called Connected when Sony owned it before they sold it to Netflix.
Uh-huh.
It was called Connected.
That's a terrible name.
It really is. And when they sold this to Netflix let them use Mitchell versus Machines, which was their original preferred name.
Uh-huh.
And you can kind of see like right there how, as far as putting this out there on a wide theatrical release, it'd be kind of a hard sell because, it has physical comedy that works for kids. All the humor is going to be for a very specific kind of, what would you say, like millennial age group, pretty much.
Sadly.
Yeah. And
excuse me while I go get some avocado toast. I'll eat it on top of my marketing degree.
You can see just in how bad their naming convention was for it. They didn't really know how to sell it, and I think it's perfect. This movie exists in a time where stuff can just come out on Hulu or Amazon Prime or Netflix and be okay, and not be considered a complete flop just because it was a streaming service release.
That fact is what saved this movie, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Because if this had come out in a different time, in a time before streaming, or streaming was around for a long time before it even became big enough to do anything like that as well. This movie could easily just disappeared, and you never would have heard of it, never would have seen it, never would have known it existed.
It would have had like a very, very small cult following.
Yeah.
Of Furby Cthulhu's. And
the Furby cult.
Yeah. The Lovecraftian Furbies. And yeah.
What does it say when it dies again? Like back to the eternal darkness or something? Like what is it?
Literally every fucking every Furby quote in this movie could be an elder god.
It's Dagon.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So it's so good.
The other thing that I wanted to say also about this movie is, and this can be like, I didn't even think about this aspect of the movie until like second or third viewing, because it just kind of feels right. It just kind of feels natural, and it shouldn't be. And that fact is, everything that this movie is trying to deal with is super dark and or heavy. All the family drama stuff, all the end of the world stuff and everything going on. But the movie never feels like a drag. Like it never brings you down, but it never lets you forget how heavy the stuff is it's dealing with. Like they do it through like musical cues. Like anytime we're talking about the robot apocalypse and something bad is happening or whatever, the music dramatically changes. The use of color dramatically changes, and everything gets heavier in tone, but it's still lighthearted at heart when it does it. And just like we were talking about with balancing the jokes and the speed that the jokes are coming at you and everything, like the way that that is handled in this movie, and it accomplishes its goals, dealing with family drama and, talking about the end of the world and saving humanity and all that, like the way just it handles it in such a lighthearted way when nothing about those concepts is lighthearted is crazy to me.
Yeah, it's a fucking lean movie.
The more we talk about this movie, the more I'm thinking this movie should never have worked.
It really, there's so many moving pieces to it that it's kind of a miracle that it worked and is, to me, one of the better animated movies of the last several years.
I agree.
So the movie, not counting the credits, is about an hour and 45 minutes long. It feels more like an 80-minute movie to me because it's how fast it moves and how fast and loose the jokes are.
Well, you're having so much fun, time just flies by.
Yeah. I just
Are you my mother now?
I love their drawn on faces that are there the whole time too.
I love it. He puts the teardrop. I feel emotion. But he tells
they're really good too. They're to be like one of like the best parts of the movie is their performance of those two fucking robots is so fucking spot on.
When he tells them to knock it off, and Katie's like, no, I want to see where this is going. And then they pretend to walk downstairs.
Yeah.
Smashes the orange into his face. Yum, yum, good. Yum, yum, good.
I was just scrolling back through some of the GIFs on Google Images too and saw the Furby one, the pain only makes me stronger.
Remember when they first introduced the Terminator ones, the black ones with the red? And
they're like fucking Samurai Jack villains, dude. Like, what the fuck is that?
And the ones in the background's like, oh, what a suck up. Oh, my queen. And it just goes over and hacks them to bits and comes back, and they're still talking when they fall apart.
He does like the Dragon Ball like anime kill where he like comes over, slashes it in like the blink of an eye, and is back before the body slides apart. Like that trope.
Do you know what they remind me of? Their design.
What's that?
Have you ever played Super Smash Brothers on the Nintendo 64?
Yes.
In the I forget what mode they call it now, but it's like the quote unquote campaign in that game. Near the end, you should look up, do a Google image search of I think they're just called polygons. Let me see. But it's all of the characters from the game, but just as purple polygon characters. And that is exactly what these things look like.
Oh, yeah. The called the Polygon team.
The Polygon team, yes.
Yeah, totally what they look like, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what they remind me of. Oh, sorry.
And the way that they just kind of like, they kind of are fluid in the way they can morph around and stuff. And like they can change directions instantly by just like kind of putting themselves back together. It's
Run,
cool.
brothers!
Their voice. Oh, also... when the mom right before she goes berserk, they have the Kill Bill. Oh man!
When she pulls out his heart and then sticks it in her purse and proceeds to use that purse to beat another one to death.
Pretty fucking metal, dude.
Like this is what I'm talking about. How dark is that? She does that. Then there's the one that she kills him with his own like weapon, and when she twists it, the oil splatters across her face.
Yeah. Oh man,
it's okay. Hold on tight, honey. Mommy's got you.
Mom's scary now.
Mom's scary now. Linda, hey, well, all right, I can get into this. Oh, dude, the mom became my favorite character at the end of the movie, just because of everything they do with her baby being in danger.
Yeah.
Maya Rudolph is a goddamn national treasure, and she's the voice of the mom in this. And I just...
Totally.
Oh, my God. When I found that out, by the way, I was like, not only do I hear it, I totally see it now. It looks like Maya Rudolph.
Yeah, I don't know how I didn't realize it, like, immediately that it was her.
Yeah. It's okay, honey. Mommy's got you. I can never get over that.
There's a lot of clever little bits of connective scenes with the just little bitty, you know, like the dog pig being weaponized against the robots. That's genius. The bit with the screwdrivers actually ends up being like a relevant plot point. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, first it's just like, what is happening? And then at the end of the movie, and he slowly pulls it out of his jacket. Like I was born for this moment.
Yeah. The stuff with the dad and the daughter ends up working with me like by the end of it. You know, I'm actually kind of like invested at the end of it.
That could have easily been like annoying. You know, if it wasn't handled correctly, that could easily have been like the worst part of the movie, but it's actually one of the best parts of the movie.
Yeah, because the movie's very comedically focused, but it has heart to it. You know, like they're legitimate characters by the end of it.
And the way that, you know, so they have this dysfunctional relationship. They argue all the time and everything, but the true emotion comes out like through Katie's art when you're seeing one of the Dog Cop movies, when their Tim Apple stand-in is watching it in his pod, and it's just like, what a clever way to convey the emotion, because she's a creative person. What's she gonna do? All artists convey their feelings through their art, you know, and she is saying through Dog Cop to the Sarge character what she has just never been able to say directly to her dad. And he does the same thing back near the end of the movie in the final like climactic scene. He's like, you know, maybe in the next movie Sarge could tell Dog Cop because he's finally found a way to connect with her through her art. He uses it to speak back to her, and for the first time they have some sort of connection.
The stuff with the where the little moose statue comes from,
the moose statue thing brings tears to my eyes every time.
It's very good. And then by the time when
how moose say I love you. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. But I love it at the end of the movie and everyone's staring at them like, the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just this movie, and you can't do it justice. You just have to fucking watch it. I was also just scrolling around the images, the pic of the fucking like super weird dinosaur face by itself just makes me bust out laughing. And if you've watched the movie, you know exactly which one I'm talking about. It's so weird.
Young Matt Frank.
Oh man, it's so weird.
I love the GIF on Tenor of them. It's like the dinosaur's weird face, and then it cuts to him with the exact same face staring at it, and it's just cutting back and forth. Oh god, everything about this movie. Dude, the brother is me when I tried to talk to girls when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like,
just kidding, I'm never gonna talk to you again. Bye, I hate you.
At the end of the movie, and he jumps out the window.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything. And jumps out the window.
Immediately giving me Scott Pilgrim flashbacks.
Oh, dude. I don't care. I don't care how drunk I was. I still vividly remember that part of that night.
Oh, I do too. You about fucking broke yourself laughing. So I think we had to momentarily stop the movie.
We had to stop and rewind it like 18 times because dude, I still occasionally watch that moment on YouTube.
That's actually like an interesting point of comparison.
This movie's very Scott Pilgrim-esque.
It's very Edgar Wright too.
Yeah.
When you think about the way his movies are just so lean and how quickly delivered the jokes are, about how there's never really like a wasted moment.
Yeah.
That's very, very.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. This movie never wastes your time. Everything that happened in this movie is important in some way, even if it's just a little. Everything that is on the screen is important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if it's just for comedy, it was important.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that heartbreaking moment when the dad sees the clip of her saying she didn't mean any of it. She was just saying what it was. Oh
That
my
is
god.
devastating, dude.
And that the movie just takes a dark turn at that moment. If I know
Yeah.
humans, they'll be dressed as one of you.
I love when they have with the son and he has Monchi on his head.
Yeah, yeah. He's
Up
in
in
the
the
helmet.
robot
There's a little
suit.
slot
Yeah.
cut out for him.
I love it.
Do I look stupid? I look stupid, don't I?
I love to scrolling through the IMDb images for the movie. They have the dad doing the monkey face and the monkey face right next to each other in like the feed.
Nice.
This is
I
great.
love the. Do they have the Rick Mitchell special? Because that's one of my favorite animated things that they do. When that,
Oh, yeah.
when that stops and pops up, that's up there with the Dream Team.
Yeah.
The deer dancing back and forth. Oh, it's so good.
I love the part at the end where the dad is just trying to search through a YouTube video and they have it cut like it's this like, you know, like super dramatic thing. And it's just like it's so fucking accurate, dude.
When he accidentally turns it to Spanish.
What have I done?
What have I done? Has the world gone mad?
It's so fucking good. It's so well observed.
Yeah.
It really is. Oh, we need to talk about too the scene when they have like the slow mo walk away from the mall being on fire.
That would be a complete waste of time, and then it cuts to it.
Fucking genius.
Oh, it's so good, dude. I just got to. I'm scrolling through the IMDb stuff. I just got to the thing that really makes me want to cry every single time. I'm pretty sure I did the first time I watched it. Is right after the parents get taken and she gets her brother out of the city basically, and they're back and they're doing the Lord of the Rings. They're hiding as the robots are like in the background right next to them.
Uh-huh.
And she finds out she's been recording over the home video the dad watched at the beginning of the movie. And remember they talked about the cabin earlier in the movie. The mom was telling her about the cabin, and the part that she sees is him giving up the cabin for her after she's born, so it moved to the city for her. And he takes the moose, and she had that in the giveaway box and everything, and it's just like, especially the line when she says something like, "I'm sorry, honey, I know this is hard," and he's like, "Nah, it's easy," and he goes over to her, and it's just like,
Yeah. This movie like legitimately makes me like emotional towards the end of it, because it's very sweet their relationship.
Yeah, it's just like, oh Jesus. Also, I just wanted to point out, like, we talked about the Sony stuff. I totally forgot. There's AMW. There's the Waffle House. There's like all these other brands. They specifically mention Instagram. Specifically mention YouTube. Specifically mention something else.
At one point, they have just straight up logos for like Reddit and like Snapchat, like all kinds of apps. You know that like it's all they don't even bother to make obvious. Like the only one company that they have, because you know how like PAL in the movie is basically like a conglomerate between, what would you say, like Google, Microsoft, and Apple, basically all merge into one.
Pretty much,
kind of. Yeah. They're the only companies that aren't just straight up put on Front Street. It's really kind of it's almost like off-putting at first. You're like, oh shit, that's the Reddit logo. You know, they're not holding back. You know, they're not making like caricatures of it. You know, they're just straight up fucking showing you the apps that they.
It's funny how the most litigious companies are the ones that don't get specifically mentioned.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm going to send you a screen grab of what when you were talking. The reason I was laughing is I'm scrolling through the IMDb stuff, and I just got to the giant Furby bursting through the wall for the first time. It's so good. It's so good.
It's fucking genius.
I'm just gonna capture the window. If I have two monitors, if I just hit print screen, bad for you.
I like how they have when they're talking about how like perfect the neighbor family is, and like even their dog is better than ours, and the dog is just like a fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger dog.
It's all muscly.
Yeah.
You have inspired me to follow you on Instagram.
You weren't already? Yeah. You cannot, you just have to watch it. Nothing can do this movie justice. You just gotta sit down and watch it. I think
I'm trying to think about
think-
anything else.
yeah, I think I'm about. I had a feeling this was gonna be kind of a shorter episode just because the fucking movie is so lean. You know, it's just there's nothing real. And I know like you talked about how like your one kind of complaint with it was it kind of going a little bit too overboard with like
the way you
preachiness
said
of,
it is a really good way to say it. I feel like it gets a little preachy about
Yeah.
technology at times. It does not detract my fun in this movie at all. It's just, after a while, I'm like, okay, come on, guys.
Yeah, I would be more problematic with it if I didn't totally agree with him. So it doesn't really bother me. So I don't really have any. I know Bobby always likes to have us talk about like what we would improve with the movie. I got nothing. It all just pretty much works for me.
Yeah.
So it's kind of. I had a feeling it's gonna be a shorter episode. It's because like there's not really much to critique. It's just fucking good. And now I want to make this the this image you put of the giant Furby is almost. It's almost worthy of being in the Twitter banner, but I don't think I can physically remove Nick Cage plunging the fucking Five Nights at Freddy's gorilla.
I want to watch that movie
can,
again.
I don't think I can bring it. I don't think I can bring that down, dude. It's just sublime.
No, what this movie makes me think of, it's got, as far as the family stuff goes, the same messaging, same tone, same kind of concept, same disconnect with the dad, trying to find a way to connect and everything. And a little bit of the animation style too, to be honest. Finding the Chance of Meatballs is in the top of my list for us to cover.
I could totally see that comparison point.
Because I fucking love that movie. When I was running an IMAX screen, I think I sat at the window and watched that movie every single time I ran it, up until a coworker destroyed it by throwing it. But
R.I.P. Wasn't that also coincidentally? Wasn't that Lord Miller who produced this?
Yep.
Like a little bit. You can kind of see like what drew them to. Yeah, you could kind of see what drew them to this project, and it's that type of energy because their stuff is similar in that kind of, well observed. You're not really taking a second to let you have a moment to really absorb the joke before another one is taken its place. They just don't really have any wasted time.
Yeah,
I think the same with Cloudy. Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about with Mitchell's versus the Machines? I know we talked about how it's like a short episode. It's like an hour. That was originally going to be like the goal, but now we've had like 4-hour fucking epics. So now it's just like we only talked for an hour. It feels like it was like just a quick little teaser episode.
Yeah, no, I don't think I have anything else that I really wanted to say. I think I pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, same. It's on Netflix. Go watch it. It's literally just sitting there.
Yeah, and if you've already got Netflix, it costs you nothing, and it's totally worth your time.
So good.
I would never noticed this. One of the notebook drawings that she does of like them saving the world and the Earth is like, thanks, Mitchells. The bottom left corner is a dinosaur that says, "Am I still extinct?"
I never noticed that. Yeah, I bet you could if you freeze frame.
Oh, I don't even want to know how many. The camcorder says Sony on it. God damn it, Sony.
Fucking Sony.
Oh, no. Every Yelp review literally says, "Do not eat here." What, we're going to let an app tell us where to eat? This is totally unrelated. This is totally unrelated.
Unrelated.
Oh, my God. No. Here's your Twitter banner. I'm going to send you this, too, because here it is. This is almost worthy.
It is a tall order. It's close. It's close.
The giant Furby getting ready to unleash his atomic breath.
The only thing I might love better than Nick Cage versus Murder Matronics is Lovecraftian Furbies. So you have a point.
I love. God damn it! What was that? I just lost my train of thought. Back here. Oh, this is what it was. The big, heartfelt family and love speech that Katie gives that has to happen in every one of these type movies. Like, it's apparently contractually obligated. And when it cuts to Pal, the phone is literally in sleep mode.
It's sleep mode. That's so. They have like this really wonderful music going on too when she's
Yeah.
having the speech, and then it just hard cuts to no music and then just sleep mode. It's just like, damn.
And it's almost a trope at this point, because how many movies do they do that and it cuts to a person asleep or bored or distracted and wasn't listening? But it works so much better because it's a phone and it's literally in sleep mode. The screen is blank and it just says sleep mode. Oh, that was so boring.
Yeah,
Dude,
and
Olivia Colman, it cannot be understated just how much she adds to this movie.
She's great. I like it at the end when she
I wish to
falls
flop
directly
around.
when she falls just directly into the cup of water and they have just like a second.
Yeah.
And then she just starts freaking out before dying.
No,
It's
no,
so
not
good.
the water. I love the big build up to Manji's eyes finally looking forward, and he jumps up and it just bounces off of him into the cup of water.
God, I love that dog.
Oh my god.
Any single GIF or just still image of Manchi, I just want as my profile picture on everything.
It's funny you should say that. Check
He's the
Discord.
best. Oh god, he's so adorable. I love him. I also like the images too, where it shows what's the son's name? Is it Aaron?
I think so, yeah.
When he is carrying around Manchi and Manchi just looks like a puddle.
Yeah, he's just a puddle
so
under.
it's, it's so good.
Yeah,
But yeah.
Aaron. Dude. I forgot all about you. You said you've never flown, right?
I have not.
No joke. That safety video of the robot, and it's got the ascot and it's got the little wings like a they're not stewards and stewardess now. They are
Flight
flight
attendant.
attendants. That every airplane I've ever been on, they used to do that in person, but now it's this screen that folds down in front of you, and the safety video plays. It is identical to that video that they made. It could not be more identical.
This
was
movie
so
is
good.
everything that they're like. It's so good about its references. Everything is just all in the fucking money, dude.
No,
It's
you do
wonderful.
not enjoy that kind of fun. Trust me. No, I do. Everybody says that about me. The idiot. This is like, I enjoy fun. Oh, and in the safety video, that will create a better world without humans, and it cuts to the artist's conception. It's just toasters free roaming in a field of flowers.
It's fucking fantastic.
Okay, this has devolved into just describing the movie scene by
I-
scene.
And that's the thing is, you've seen this movie dozens of times.
Oh yeah, at least.
And you're gonna come away from this podcast thinking of one like specific scene. You're just like, how did I not remember to mention it? And it's just because like just in the last like 5 minutes we talked about like 12 like really fucking good jokes.
Yeah.
It's just all over the place, just nonstop, just fucking great material all the time.
It's so good.
It's so good. I think that's gonna be
I love
a
the
wrap
giant pole holding up the dinosaur's neck.
though. Yeah. Topped only by the fucking weird dinosaur picture inside like a painting.
They should have feathers. Where's the manager? I need to speak to the manager about the dinosaurs. They're not realistic at all. Oh god, it's so good.
Man, it's so good.
We gotta go. I gotta watch this movie again.
Yeah, no kidding. If you want to follow the show more, please follow us on Twitter at SPR Filmcast. Ron, do you want to plug anything?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and maybe occasionally Twitch. At Ronsense TV on all the things. I think.
Yeah, I was curious what you were going to be plugging since you kind of stepped away from Twitch a little bit.
Yeah, I'm stepping away from Twitch. I'm transitioning back to YouTube. I think it's just easier. You require such a set schedule for streaming, and I'm a stay-at-home dad with 2 young kids. I don't have a set schedule.
Yeah,
So-
it's a little hectic.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
I can sit down one night and bang out a ton of videos and get them all uploaded, and then not do anything for a week or 2 if I have to. So yeah, it just works out better for me. Also, everybody quit coming to my Twitch channel, so it was just me. It was real sad for like a full month. It was just me by myself talking as if I had a room full of people. So I was like, apparently the world has made this decision for me. So, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? It works better for your schedule anyway. So there you go, bud.
What's our movie gonna be?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we didn't have any questions at the beginning of this show, but if you have any prompts, we'll pretty much talk about anything. I mean, you fucking heard, if you've gone this far, you know we'll talk about fucking anything. But
we've proven
if you have
that.
any like thoughts on a movie we've covered, any movie you'd like us to cover, just any general prompts you'd like to throw in, you can email us screenplayrewind@gmail.com, or you can hit us up with a tweet at SPR Filmcast. I was thinking about actually, I don't know what your thoughts on this would be, but throw up maybe like once or twice a month, just like a Q&A type prompt on Twitter. Just any questions anyone following us on Twitter might have, they could throw in there as well.
Yeah,
does not hurt to ask, see what people want to have answered on the show. But yeah, our next film, since Ron had picked Mitchell's versus the Machines, I was just coincidentally talking to Ron about this last night, about how I've been agonizing over what to pick next. I think I have my next like 2 or 3 movies picked out. Just didn't know which order I wanted to do them in, but I think I have settled on the next movie. And the next movie we are going to watch, drum roll please, is Book of Eli.
Oh, yes.
And I figured you'd be happy about this because I have been looking for any excuse to rewatch that movie for a long time, and I was just like, it's time. We gotta watch it.
Anyone listening to this, please watch the movie before listening to our episode.
Yes.
Please.
Absolutely.
Because there is a thing that we are going to be talking about and spoiling that you feel stupid the second time you watch the movie.
Yeah, it's you feel painfully dumb.
Yeah. That you didn't notice. Yeah. It's done so well. There's no way we can't talk about it. And if you know going into the movie what that thing is, it loses all effect.
But it's still a great movie. I still love it on rewatch, even knowing it. But
one of my favorite Denzel performances and one of my all-time favorite Gary Oldman performances in one movie.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Also,
love that movie.
There's a character everybody knows and loves that is a cannibal.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need.
Yep, that was a shocking revelation for Chris.
It's available for streaming on HBO Max. It's also on the Roku channel for all 8 people that have the Roku channel, I guess.
If you have a Roku, you have the Roku channel.
Okay.
It's free and ad-driven. All of Batman 66 is on there too, by the way.
Gotcha. I do not have a Roku, so I did not know that was on the thing. But yeah, there you have it. Book of Eli also fucking 12 years old now. Did you know that?
Oh my god.
God, I'm old.
Avengers is going to be 10 years old this year.
Let's not talk about that.
Oh, real quick, I did think of one thing that was in my notes I wanted to say for this movie.
Okay.
Bravo for this movie being the first animated film I can think of, at least in recent memory, that just quietly mentions that the same-sex relationship at the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
The sooner that we can normalize that, the better, because that is a thing that people do because people are people. It needs to be talked about. It needs to be normalized. And it's just a subtle thing at the end of the movie that if you're not paying 100% attention, you don't even hear it. And that's all it should be.
It's perfect.
Yeah,
because it's so subtle, like you said. You can almost it almost can go over your head if you're not really paying attention to the dialogue. You know, and it's just there, and it's really cool.
The first time I heard that, I was like, "Bravo, well done."
It's awesome. I love it.
That was the only thing I wanted to commend the movie for before we signed off. I totally forgot.
Yeah, agreed, 1000%. Love it. Yeah, but yeah, man, any excuse. This is also like just one of those. If you're having a bad day, this would be a great movie just to instantly pick you up because it's so
absolutely.
It's so fast paced. There's a lot of heart to it. You can't tell, but just kind of get. See, this was my second time watching it. I think I liked it even more the second time. Now that I kind of like knew what I was getting into, because like I said, the first like 10 to 15 minutes that I first watched it,
like what the fuck am I watching?
I could tell it was good just because of how like good the writing was.
Well, the fact that shit is happening all over the screen the entire time and it doesn't annoy you.
Yeah, it's like animation vomit.
Yeah,
but it's not.
You really think you can make a living doing this?
At first, it's like very distracting almost, but then you just kind of get into a groove with the movie, and then it kind of fades in the background for me.
Every time I watch this movie, I like it better because I get more and more used to seeing everything that's on the screen. So I get more from this movie. Like I notice something I didn't notice before because this movie throws so much at you. Every time I've watched it, it's gotten better.
Yeah, it definitely did for me on the second visit, the revisit. So I totally get it. But I think that's gonna be a wrap for our show. Again, thank you anyone who has listened this far. We appreciate you. What episode is this gonna be? We're coming up on episode 50 here pretty soon. The next few episodes is like what? This is gonna be 42. So we're getting there.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to do something special for episode 50. I think it's gonna commemorate it.
Maybe a commentary that we've been talking about.
Yeah, maybe one of those magical commentaries. Let's just do episode 50, 12 hours, all Lord of the Rings extended editions. Let's go. Could you imagine uploading a 12-hour podcast to Anchor and be like, just get an email, excuse me, sir.
Could you imagine how drunk we would be by the end of that?
Oh man,
12 hours of hard drinking. I'm glad you mentioned Anchor specifically though, because that is who we host through. You just reminded me of this. Ratings and reviews, I think you mentioned earlier. I just heard through another podcast that Spotify, who owns Anchor, they now have a rating system. They don't do reviews yet, but they do have a rating system that you can give us hopefully 5 stars, but I know it'll be 1. But
I respect their opinion because they are accurate.
Yeah, anywhere that you can give us a rating and or review helps us get into the algorithm. That gets us more people listening to us. It gets us suggested to more people. So,
yeah.
And Spotify now, if you listen to us on Spotify, only on the mobile app. If you listen on your computer, you do not have that capability on the computer. But through the mobile app, you can leave a rating. And that is a huge, huge help to us.
Yeah, and also pretty much podcasts anytime these days can grow is through word of mouth, especially. So if you just have a friend that you think might also like the show, please share it out. We'd really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's gonna be a wrap. It's weird only having an hour and 11-minute episode.
If we keep trying to wrap it up, though, we'll eventually get there.
We'll eventually get.
We've been wrapping it up for 10 minutes.
Yeah, one more thing. Have a good night, everybody. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Oh, dude, it's so good. To the great darkness, I return.
That's what it is. I knew it was something.
Next time we're playing PUBG and I die, I wish I could say that in the all chat. To the great darkness, I return.
I will avenge my fallen children.